In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Hello, everyone. You're listening to someone who believes, at this point, knows that this world has a system admin. The ancients called it God. I, as a Muslim, call it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Various beings from different cultures, regardless of the imagery they gave it, they have all noticed a bit further than the world's room. And so, in the path ahead, may God forgive us for all the sins that we know and all the sins that we don't know that we have done. May God forgive us for breaking hearts, even if it was our own. To me, failure as a being is equivalent to breaking my own heart. Today's lecture is about, and excuse me why my voice is a bit strange, under the weather, but aren't all our voices under the weather now? I am here today to not be a good person or a bad person to you. I simply exist the way I have understood the primordial force. It's that you think it's a being that is speaking to you right now. I am not a being. I am being, but I am not this being. And so I will explain to the system administrator, a system admin conscious, the God conscious on earth. From one perspective, that means I am not giving you answers. I am trying to go as far as I can as a force of being. And then watch, witness the skies that I enter. You know, to some people, the sky is the sky. For others, it is a door. They have been through that door many times. But it is beyond a story. That is the power of religion beyond all spiritual realities. That means rather than being like some spiritual person who's in contact with like advanced spiritual beings, you know, or like channeling aliens or something, I would tell you, give me truth over advancement any day, but give me advancement over the world any day. That means you're listening to a soul that has found no other reason for the value of my existence. We go forth. It is the cruel reality. It all goes forth, regardless of how you felt, regardless of how you thought, you know, but not regardless of what you did. You're in a realm. that actions echo beyond realities that your eyes can perceive. Voices are not just lingering in human ears. And beyond this game of what other fictional being is there, beyond the veil of what we consider nonfiction and normal, it is fields. You are meeting fields. You're being a being present in a field. It is not human. The destiny of the human is not human. Therefore, was it ever a human? Or is reality what you call a collective dream? As if, like, if one person dreams, daydreams, we're like, okay, it's that person's imagination. When 8 billion people daydream, it is a reality. Civilization has a value greater than all of us. It is like, what is the value of the building that is sheltering all the species? And no one would dare break that. Even the evil people can't. Do you understand? That means the necessity of survival. If it was not savage, what would we be? I am here to speak to you because I am tired. My soul is a friend to the system admin, but this world, you have treated me as a stranger from the moment my attention landed in this world. From the moment I could be a being, the moment I couldn't see anything between the stars. In the same way, it is the same. How can I explain to you that being a human being, if you're if you just consider it can be comprehended in the human framework, we thought it was that easy. Something everybody in academia can't admit. That means even if they give me the Nobel Prize, does it matter when the species is walking blindly into the future? That is madness. It is madness that we have not assembled into the might of the advanced humanity. Do you know, I think there's something, excuse me, I think there's something going on behind the eyes of every soul in this realm. And I think it's a power game, and it's a moment where you become overpowered by reality. That means, guess what? Existence was the alpha. The world was the alpha. The entity in the world is the beta. Do you understand what that means? That means the world was a beast we could not defeat. The world defeated us. It is the same thing as, just like you see roots of a tree, around the, staircase of a building. You know what I mean? We have just adjusted nature. We have been subdued. God is saving us from nature. Now, let me explain this. The concept of being saved. Keep in mind, this lecture is the reasons. What are the reasons you give yourself? That means, how are you reasoning? Or how do you know your reasoning is reasonable? How far can you see? And it is not, there are some people who are blessed with outer eyes. Do you know what I mean? That means, like, back in the day, in medieval times, people would be hired with good eyesight to help astronomers, like, kind of figure out where the planets were. And I think it was Mars. Mars, it was one planet that did something weird that we were like, we can't explain it unless we bring the heliocentric model. Because what is spinning around what? That has been the ancient story of man. We saw fire and we danced around it. The reasons you give yourself as a being are equivalent to what sort of fires are you dancing around? What sort of rooms of intelligence are you experiencing in this world? And have you noticed the unnaturalness of fear? It took me years to realize that as long as a part of me dislikes myself, it will not allow me to deserve. And the fundamental part that disliked me about myself was my position as a psychological entity, as we all are. You're not just living one life. They taught you wrong, and it's called being raised. Like how, how people say, yo, man, how was that person raised? Like if there's a young person rude to an old person, everybody knows like their lineage fucked up. I'm sorry. If there's cruelty to innocence, I'm sorry, that is the only time my soul will pick up arms. You see, it's purpose. It has always been purpose. The mind cannot ignore the end. Like something I wish I could tell to the whole Zen department of the New Age community. Do you know all the yogis, enlightened sages, gurus? Do you know all the Buddhas? Do you know if I could just tell them, any person who has spoken about the ego, I would say the ego is natural. It's the natural reaction as an ideological entity to a world you have not contained in an idea yet. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I'm saying that subconsciously, the ego's not a fool, that your human intelligence can't ignore that this thing ends, that it changes. Change is preparing us for the final change. It's like, all right, we're going to bring these creatures in a world, they're going to change throughout the whole world, and then they're going to change from the world. And we're like, wait a minute, so is every day of our life is the reason we go to sleep, we log in and log back, log out of consciousness endlessly? Is it to train ourselves to realize that the user is not defined by whether it exists, whether it's logged out or it's logged in? The presence of reality surpasses the ignorance. At some point, it is a bigger story. My experience has been, I've been like, imagine me being born somewhere, in the world and culture, and me having a personality and just being raised in a specific way, in a specific cultural way on this planet, with different value systems on even emotions and behaviors, of the whole behavioral. Like when we talk about different cultures, that means, legit, the behavioral language is different. Do you know what I mean? That means an Iranian, like in some cultures, when the person is laughing, they slap like their thigh, like out of like how ridiculous the thing was, humorous, right? But in like Asian cultures, they just cover their face. You know what I mean? It's like covering your face when you laugh is like polite because you don't know like how crazy your laugh looks. That's so funny. Oh my god. But anyways, where am I going with this? It is the march of intelligence in anywhere at all. And please, oh species of mine, wake up from this reality that you are a character in a story. What? A set of language, a bunch of letters owns your soul suddenly? Like, okay, relax, everybody. It was an unknown world. Our ancestors freaked out. They said a story to kind of like, not go insane. And we took that story so seriously that we're going insane. And that's the situation of reality. We are conditional entities, so we have to be in conditions all the time. Like, I'm sorry, there's a part of me that is worshiping, like I am a being. If you were to look at the geometry, if I was to kind of like put the blueprints of my soul in front of you, you're looking at a being that has accepted that truth is unconditional. So no conditional act is legit, technically divine. I shouldn't say it that way, but God knows truly. But I'm saying, like, to me, there's an original power source to this world. I don't care what people are calling it. There's an original being here. Its presence is so much important that you stop being an ideological being. Do you understand? That means if somebody's like, yeah, man, it's like, I'm so close to God, I can explain it to you. And you'll be like, I don't need your explanation. Because if you were close to God, your responsibility level will not be on a level of mind, it will be a level of heart. You stop thinking, you go where you are needed. And it's like, yeah, this whole species doesn't have superpowers, but we have synchronization. We can arrive at the right time, in the right place, in the right moment. The right person will be born. The strength of a species beyond the ideas that defined it. You don't understand. Language is like they're force clothing you. It's fucking weird. You know what I mean? That means like you don't understand. Like, people are not sensitive like me to language, so they don't realize it, right? But imagine you were sitting somewhere. Imagine you were outside, or you were sitting somewhere indoors, chilling at room temperature, and somebody's like, "Hey, man, I believe in this jacket. Come and wear this exact jacket I'm wearing." Do you understand? A part of you would be like, "Oh man, I'm like, what is it? I have a completely different temperature than you." That temperature for souls, if there ever was an affiliation of those two concepts, would be the nearness to the system admin. You don't understand. This is the sad reality. Oh, I'm not talking to your mind, your body. I'm talking to you soul that's standing right there. In every moment of your life, you've been in every moment of your conscious waking state, that silent watching that hasn't decided what it is yet. That is the real you. But yet, in front of your eyes, you have a body, and you need to live a conditional life. Like, that's the most crazy part. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, so technically, through the theological lens, an unconditional power has simulated a conditional power. That conditional power is feeling powerless in its own conditions. But if it stops being itself and notices the source code is not oh shit, you have never been an idea. You have never just been an idea in this realm. Oh shit. Sorry, guys, I have this, I don't know, this kind of innate existential OCD. I don't know how to explain it to you. It's like the fact that the species has no clue where we are, and it's all storytelling attributed. Okay, that guy's story is closer to what, the physical event was. Yay. It's freaking stories, folks. It's like you suddenly wake up and you're a character in a novel you didn't write. You're a soul in a world you didn't create. What is even creation? What were you before you were? And that's the unconditional I'm talking about. That's real spirituality. The unconditional and the unknown. Not a fucking story they can there will come a moment, at least I experienced it like this, where I could not attach any idea to my soul. It did not belong to me. That means, like, my parents told me to be honest when I was very young. I have a twin brother. I remember legit, there was one day my mother just, you know, she got to the same level as me and my brother, like her hands on both of me and my brother's shoulders. And I remember her telling us, guys, be good kids, be good people, you know? And even though, I didn't know what being good meant at that time, but she was telling us to be honest and good because that is it's strange. There is no explanation even needed because that is the path, you know? And me and my brother were very young. I don't know, we were like 7 or 10 or something, very young. And so, to be honest, I don't own existence. It's impossible to have an idea own existence. This has to be some sort of like we forgot it was theater and treated it real situation in human history right now. That means there's you don't understand. Everybody acts like we're living in a real world. Okay, that idea of you is that is experiencing the real world. Where is it? That means they told us we have thoughts. Where are these thoughts? Have you ever touched a thought? Have you ever held a thought in your hand? Have you ever seen a thought? No, it is legit just an invisible container. And have you seen that thing where they put a grasshopper in a jar, and they put the jar lid, and the grasshopper just gets conditioned not to jump any further? I don't know if it's a mosquito or a grasshopper or whatever. You know what I mean? And then when they remove the jar, the invisible prison has been built already. And for me to, in order to advance civilization, I have to, in some sense, just somehow, God knows, I don't know how to do it. It's unfathomable to me. There's been things I've tried to calculate in this reality, and I'm like, okay, this is beyond me, legit beyond me. And I was like, okay, God, that means it's in God's responsibility. The system admin knows, the system knows. And it's really identity, it's membership. We're all in the same way, we're putting on clothes, you know, an invisible idea of what we want or should be or deserve or have to have and all this stuff. Do you understand? It's like sometimes it's very difficult to say, like, like, do you know what I mean? I'm at that point in my life where I just want to go into nature for a little bit, just sit there and have and see how many thoughts throughout the day were not from me and were just from my environment. To me, I realized, like, when I would read when I was younger, like, I wouldn't say I was dyslexic. I could 100% read. It was just that I didn't process the information. I would say I would read, but I would not understand the meaning because nobody had taught me about contexts yet. I hadn't understood the relationship between a concept and a context. You understand that? All this knowledge opens up to you, just so you know. Anybody who understands this fundamental duality, that there's a concept and there's a context that finds itself, so the meaning ideas comes from their environments. That means more than you should be concerned about, like, you know a person, like, I don't know, but if I was to, like, I'm thinking right now, if I was to date someone, I would probably be very concerned about what sort of inner rooms, like behind their eyes, how are they living? Are they living righteously? Are they in some sense true? Have they found the ability, have they cultivated the ability to in some sense have that single moment where legit it's like entering a jacuzzi, you just have to do it, and be in that moment where you're like, okay, I have tried to barricade myself from the unknown by looping in the comfortable knowing. Do you know that means it's kind of like, I'm telling you, to me, getting comfortable in this world is equivalent to, like, do you know what I mean? Feeling too warm. Like it's like you just want to take off your jacket and just go somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? My parents would tell me as a kid, like, I would always open the fridge door and like stand in front of the fridge. You know, it's just like just this 10-year-old kid who would get hot, like, playing soccer in Iran, and would come upstairs and just freaking, you know, use the refrigerator as just like a cooling moment. You know what I mean? Like in the future, 100%, we're gonna have like temperature regulation. That's something that hasn't come into the mind of the luxury of humanity. But it's a huge like interior design. I'm telling you, they're gonna have temperature technology be a huge aspect. Like if there's any interior designers out there, go look at this. Because ultimately, what humanity has done by creating AI has been, in some sense, people don't understand. Like this, we're living at a time where the most important, like the most strangest important thing has happened. I remember, I don't know when it was, when the first time ChatGPT came out, my brother came and showed it to me, right? And I remember I asked it a question, it gave an answer, and I looked at my brother and I just, like I said it, I kind of said it like as a joke and not at the same time. And I told him, this is the end of the world. Do you know why? Because in some sense, it means rather than us exploring reality, reality is adjusting to us. And we don't know if we're intelligent enough to have the world adjust to us. Like right now, I'm at a point in my life where if everybody was like, yo, man, if like a million people came up to me and like, yo, man, lead this army, I'll be like, guys, I don't know. My inner realms and outer realms at this point in my life, it's at this point of, you don't understand. At first, you're trying to find the battlefield you belong in, but it's not a battlefield. That's just metaphoric. The environment where your soul can activate. Okay, do you know? More than it's like, guys, go in a flow state, do Tai Chi and all this. I'm sorry, like, unless you want to cultivate like thousands of years of Chinese wisdom, like I don't know, and tradition, like Neo from the Matrix or something. Do you know what I mean? What we are left with as modern beings is in some sense you start wondering about the meaning of your own life. Then that moment comes where you're like, wait a minute, am I just looking at everything and assuming how I see it is the only way that thing has meaning? That means, like, you don't understand. There's so many dimensions to a being. It doesn't mean they're multidimensional. Like, see, like you can have, like, right now when you look at the human body, like, yeah, there's the dimension of the brain, dimension of the heart, dimension of other organs, but then there's the whole being itself. So when it comes to the classification, this is the hardest thing, because I some people think metaphysics is just like, I'm that person in history who entered metaphysics geometrically. That means my some of my early spiritual experiences on this planet were geometrical movements in my inner realms. Suddenly I could get I could, just like how I'm having a first person view from my eyes, I could see this geometrical shape extend and go to the, like, at the end of a block, and then suddenly I would have third perspective, like in the same way I'm having a first perspective view from there, and my mind could simulate something. Do you understand? And it's very strange, because when you live as a soul, you are in a destined world. But when you live as a mind, you have the hope of like trying to do things your own way. So, guys, yeah, this is live. I'm in my studio, aka car, in front of a Tim Hortons in Toronto, Canada, using the Wi-Fi. Because all the talks have to, in some sense, not have to. Just the intent was we have to advance civilization so quickly. We cannot hold back anything. That means I'm that person where imagine, like, I don't know. I poetically say I have this scenario in my mind where I was like, okay, let me, if I could even fathom what it was like to be one of the great generals of humanity, the kingdom of the human species, and all of history. I don't care if people don't see it as a kingdom. To me, it is a kingdom, and the future generations wear the crown, and the true crown belong, which the future generations wonder about. In some sense, is the system admin. There is a being that can't make mistakes. That archetype is perceived. The mind can descend in so many ways. All souls choose what they look at, what even they allow conceptually in their mind. And it dawns on everybody that they're self simulating meaning. That means we don't know each other. Do you know? At the same time, your assumed meaning arises from the realms of your inner realms, and how you keep your inner realms. May God forgive you, or may God bless you. How much of reality shall be tolerated? Pretty much for me, when I look at the world, your body is found in a world, and your mind just moves ahead, lives lives ahead. Truth is unconditional. If truth was equal to anything in this world's room, it would be like saying, it's like, is could truth, could what's outside of the box equal what's inside of the box? Only if there was no box could the inside and outside be the same. How do souls move in a world that nobody understands? So we wonder about what is the true intelligence we're standing under. That means what is the highest intelligent interaction level? To me, I don't know what can be seen as a more advanced than a simulated, a sort of original. It's like an original state. Created a simulated state. The simulated state returns to the original state. What more advanced than the original can be? What is the true meaning of a heart at peace? And is cruelty so simple that beastly realms are just permitted in civilized territories? Do you know what I mean? The inner realms of the species is savage AF. They attack before they understand, and so they break before they reach. For what is victory really? Can the moment have value beyond all that we know? I'm just saying that we need to find a way to unify the species. To me, I'm that guy in history. This is the whole Mr. Withinian archetype, I guess. That I don't care, like, really how you see or hear or how this comes across, because I cannot and know how you're hearing what I'm saying. Because I don't know what sort of life you've lived. But at some point, I know that I am not just speaking to you. I am speaking to the species. I am speaking to the system admin, above all, in the presence of all of it. I understand that when my voice enters this realm, it's like my how do I say it? It's like my heart. God knows. I know that God knows what's in my heart. Do you understand? That means I cannot hide my true nature. Whatever I am as a being, I express. But it doesn't mean it in the inner realms it expresses before in the outer realms I even care. Pretty much, I'm talking about, like, okay, what uh, they're like, the species is fighting over stories of truth, and I'm like, yo, it's beyond stories. That's it. In many traditions, they speak of the Pure Lands. And the Pure Lands can be kind of said it's equivalent to, like, I don't know, in a manner of speech, like a soul, a simulated being that has realized it's an unknown soul, and that when that unknown soul remembers the original divine command given to it the moment it was created, that is pure faith. Because what does faith mean? Have faith in the design, have faith in the process, but understand that the unconditional is greater than the conditional. And what do we do as conditional beings? For now, we're just optimizing conditions. But I am understanding that we have to even, you don't understand, in an advanced civilization, there would be so many angles. Like, that's the whole point of the future. Just like how when I look at my grandparents, I could see the blind spots of their generation. I'm sure there's people, beings, unborn children in the future who haven't been even born on planet Earth, unknown beings. In Islam, there's a view called Alam al Arwa, which means the world of souls. And in the world of souls, every soul has a rank. So if one soul suddenly you feel intimidated by, it's probably a ranking situation, or you could be like a very high rank soul in a low rank environment like Machiavelli. That's pretty much Machiavelli's life, you know or you could be in some sense the other way. It depends. You could find your crowd soon, and you could be in a sort of soul assembly, soul unit, and there's souls that are moving rogue, excuse me, rogue. So there's rogue souls, right? And what does this mean, rogue souls? That means what they can achieve alone has been decided to be greater than what they can achieve together, but what they're achieving alone is for all. Because I'm trying to live a life where every day, it's like I'm gift. They're like, even if my great, 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 great grandchildren don't see me, they'll be like, okay, our ancestors. Like I'm sometimes I'm my because I'm a sci-fi writer. Like I have this ability to kind of, and I'm a visual thinker, so my mind works like I see it's like I'm seeing a film and I'm putting it into words. So, anyways, 2 points I gotta get across. One, system admin privileges means from the theological lens in Islam. Islam has an answer, and I went after this. I'm like, okay, what is the purpose? And in Islam, there's different passages, of course, but there's a passage that says, God, I created mankind and jinn kind for this. Excuse me, I created humankind and jinn kind for the sole purpose of, right? That means the system admin to Muslims is saying, hey guys, you're the bunch that I'm telling you need to pay attention to how there is an original presence before any effects happen. That means what is causing reality to occur. And so it's kind of like, this fascination even goes so far as to being an explanation. I'm trying to say that I'm just like, there's 8 billion of us here, okay? That means we're the lottery ticket reward of all of our ancestors that got us here. And our civilization up to this point in history has not been living with a civilizational honor. But now we have reached that time. And my aim is to bring it forth the global culture, that it is the honor of a civilization, the honor of humanity, the United Species Council, Species Unity Day, every year celebrated. Do you understand? A complete realization that we are all on the same team if there were aliens around it. Do you understand? Like we'd be all humans and they'd be like, oh, okay, whatever they are, you know? And so what I'm saying is not a matter of judgment. It's a matter of position and role in existence while one is existing. What are you doing with your existence as a being, right? And are you administering a life based on just biological factors? Are you administering your life based on, let me say it like, how do I say it? Like ideological purpose? That means what is your great purpose in reality? What is animating you? I remember there was a time I went to my dad and I'm like, Dad, I don't get it. Like some people, it's like they have a spirit in them. Like there's a spirit active in that being. That being can it's as if they have the energy, they the care, the desire even to go and do something. And I was like looking at my father. I'm like, why is there no, sometimes no like spirit of activation I feel in the moment or something like that, right? And it's a matter of, anyways, the whole point of that is to explain to you that it was kind of like, how do I say it? The relationship you have with what's going on here, as what's going on here, is going to change every day pretty much. Okay. And tomorrow is a new day because today has been normalized through the known variables, the known factors. That means, in the same way we put on clothes, the psychology stabilizes itself through the familiar. It's dressed in what's familiar to it. You understand? And there's been moments where I even thought, like, okay, does the soul is it have a geometrical expression of movement? Because ultimately there is a movement here, whether, and it's all about, like, how aware you are from one angle. It's all like divine command of a cognitive field, a divine cognitive, or I shouldn't say even cognitive. It's a divine field. And what it means is that it's like realms beyond man. It's not you're not per se just an idea. The closer you get to God, the more you see everything is God's will, and God is unconditional. Do you understand? That means, I don't know if like, this is a very strange concept to me, but I'm like, okay, was idol worship wrong? Like, if somebody worships like a statue, is that wrong? You know? And I would say yes. Okay. And the person is like, no, the statue means something. And I'll be like, okay, why do you even need the statue if the meaning's coming from within you? See, I think it's a matter of the soul waiting for a divine surprise than a sort of structured victory. We're wondering about the greatness of reality, the true presence of the species, the true ability of the species in the middle of all the chaotic and ordered, shenanigans and storytelling of reality. What we are really doing here as a species, what we're doing here as beings, is expressing intelligence in a field, and I call this the divine surveillance state. That means, you know, like, if in the future my wife looks in my eyes and it's like, do you see my soul, sweetheart, when you look in my eyes? And I'll be like, I don't just see your soul, I see the divine surveillance state, but your heart's the best filter. So the whole point of it is that, where does the value in reality arise? Do you want it to arise in objective position, or would you like the value of reality to arise in a subjective position? Do you want to free the realms of man from the beastly loops of the savage enforced life? Or would you rather, in some sense, have the species, in some sense, walk in the pure lands of such innovative genius that means the future generations are going to be like, listen, old timers, we've classified all your arguments as you all need clarity as we all do. That means, in a parallel universe, if somebody was like, I just need clarity, clarity would be this advanced AI that's like kind of like connecting all our minds to a cyber server of endless possibilities, I guess. I don't know. To me, if they were like, yo, man, do you want to connect your brain to all knowledge? Do you want to think like AI? You know what I mean? And I'll be like, okay, no, I don't want to have to prompt myself. Like, that's so boring. You know. I'm still dealing with the biological program. I'm still dealing with the ideological, story of society and civilization program. But really, what is going on here is that we've matured beyond. nationalistic identity. And we have reached that moment in history where I would say it's the allegiance of the human species. It doesn't matter if that means when the era of the advanced humanity arises, you don't understand what that means. That means God's like, all right, you're all ready to be responsible for your species. And beyond the species is for Earth kind. Beyond Earth kind, we realize, we belong not just, up in the stars, but beyond them. We are beings that are in the presence of an unconditional force. So we're unconditionally being conditional in a sort of situational manner. And in this situational manner, I consider it as a simulated testing zone. I believe in every moment, if the system admin is watching me, that means the truth is watching the simulation. Why is truth watching the simulation? To see how the simulated makes the decision. How should the simulated make the decision? Is it making the decision with the awareness that the original being is watching? What does it mean that the original being created you? In Islam, there's the concept of Khalifa, which means ambassador. So the role of man in this world, in another passage of the Holy Quran, I don't remember exactly, is that we are here to be an ambassador of the higher truth. That means we've been given system admin privileges. What's one of your system admin privileges? Consciousness, the ability to communicate, the ability to notice your temporary. These are privileges of a higher being. These are system admin privileges given to you, your being, in contrast to any other being. That means the stupid is, excuse my language. There's no such thing as stupid smart. It's different ranks of awareness, I would say. But I would say, like, the stupidest person on earth would still be the most smartest being compared to any other species. I don't even care. Like, at some point you realize the design is more advanced because there is that developed prefrontal cortex, right? But that developed prefrontal cortex is giving, like, the body an ability to access a greater antenna range. So the body is like the antenna that the mind is, the idea of the self is trying to hold, so the soul realizes what it is. You know what I mean? But what it actually is the realization that we are in a commanded realm. That means if somebody was like, Mr. Within, I've succeeded in life, I've achieved everything I ever wanted on earth, you know, what do I do? The true presence of the soul of an explorer. You know, it's like in the middle of chaos and order fighting. This dude in history is like, hey, everybody, just pause for a moment. Let's build an advanced civilization, access the most advanced states, build the most advanced civilization, and then be chaotic and ordered. And in the process of building an advanced civilization, all beings will understand greater realities. That means if the species was 10% gentler, the amount of geniuses on the planet would increase. I'm not even kidding. Civilized, like inner realm movement, the mind would find itself capable to move in new ways. Because right now, your mind is tamed by language. This is what Ludwig Wittgenstein meant when he said the limits of my language are the limits of my world. But the revelatory texts are pointing to how your attention is beyond the confines of a certain shape or form. We're either ready for the moment or not, and it just shows. Ultimately, it all goes forth. For me, I'm just trying to say, as somebody giving a lecture on what reasons are you giving yourself, I don't mean like, see, you could interpret that in any way, but I'm telling you, it seems to me you open your eyes as a being here, like you just open your eyes to reality, and your awareness and the expansion of your awareness, that is what maturity is. That means if, that the awareness to what's going on there, but also maturity is the responsibility for what you're aware of. That means if I've discovered a more advanced view of civilization, I have to spend the rest of my life talking about it because I have to be responsible for what has entered my awareness in this realm. And at some point, beyond all the ideas I have ever known, the world will move in a way where it didn't matter if I was in it or not. Everything returned to the system admin. It's the original state. That means death is not the final moment. God is. Don't fear death. Fear how you're going to return to the original. And don't fear the world. Fear the creator of it. But you start with fearing it, and fearing God is, like they say, it's the beginning of wisdom, yes. But then you begin to understand that God's like, all right, when you're done being scared of the truth, you at some point wonder about, okay, what has guided the moment? And that's when you start noticing that there is coordinated invisible movement in the realm. We don't, maybe our eyes don't see it in the electromagnetic spectrum, like electromagnetic range, in the range they are. Yeah, anyways. But I know there's movement here. I'm someone who, it's not like I could see beings. I wasn't like, oh my God, is that like, some abstract fictional entity in my room? My mind was never like that, but I felt that was very different. I felt that the room was not, it was not just me in the room. I would go into a room and I would feel like there's such anger in this room. I wouldn't understand, and it was like some people had an argument there or something, you know. I would look at people, and again, I'm telling you, this is not, at first it wasn't visual, but then I understood my inner realm. So now it's anything can, I can extend it into my inner realms, but there's no need because it's all about, like, at first you're trying to move your life, then you realize life is this giant movement, then you wonder what is moving this giant movement, and then you have to make a decision whether you consider it's intelligent or empty, right? So I've decided, like, I experience in a manner that I know that there's a system administrative force here, and Islam is telling you to go directly to the system admin, but the system admin is not an idea. Islam is telling you worship something that it cannot be conceptualized, that cannot be limited to conceptualization. That means, are you just an idea, or are you that unknown awareness through every moment of your conscious waking, like, no life, noticing every idea that has passed you by in your inner realms? So the reasons we give ourselves, I think it's ultimately, now I don't know, I know I always have this view that there's always someone more advanced than me out there. So feel free to share. But I've made this consideration of, if we are a certain range of energy, a certain bell curve of energy, it's as if you're this energy in this reality, and this energy has system admin privileges of being able to be conscious that it's energy. So you're not just energy, you're like intelligent energy, or your energy that's being administered through a field of intelligence. But because you identify as the node, it has to be kind of like you got to experience throughout life as a person in the world rather than a unknown moment, receiving everything as a known. I don't know how to say it. Like sometimes it's very hard, not hard, but sometimes it's a playful thing, I guess, for me. Whether the inner realms, like I've fathomed edges to it, but it doesn't have an edge. It's a field. That means the edge of your imagination connects to a field where all conceivable phenomena is there, and your body is acting as a sort of node between dimensions. So it's kind of like we are our inner life is receiving way more of the world and is processing way more of reality than our outer life. Our outer life is, in some sense, I've always had this relationship where my body is like a soldier, my mind is like a commanding general, my soul is like excuse me, is a commanding officer, my mind is a commanding officer, my soul is a general. And in a poetic sense, even though God cannot be humanized and it's beyond concept, God has no equivalent, it's legit a being that nothing can equal to. And the story of humanity is what beings have been equating this state. That means they've been fighting over what idea owns omniscience, omnipresence, but these are beyond the human mind. The whole point of religion is that you're in a world with forces beyond you. Do not act foolish. Live with your heart so your own mind doesn't punish you. Live in accordance to your heart and your mind won't punish you. Live in accordance to your your body, and how would I say it? Live in accordance to your, I don't know how to explain it, but at some point I ask myself every moment that I'm alive, what is the motivation of being anything at all in this moment? So I always have this realization like, all right, it's a space, and now there's activity in the space, and human consciousness allows directing that activity. That's really what communication is. It's like the invisible extension to who we are, but we ideologically communicate it, but that invisible extension is not just what we think are an individual soul, it is a presence of a field. It's as if all souls are the commands of the system admin. That means it's very strange. It's like we are created. We are not the creator, but we have attributes of the creator, and we are here in this realm that to live in a way where the attributes of the higher realms can be seen to the other outer realms. That's kind of like, I guess, living a righteous life, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, thank you for listening so far. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, the most advanced. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds that has no equivalent partner. That means the only worshipable truth, or in some sense saying like the source code is not the ego code. Their ego code is based on worldly code. For me, I realized, like, if something I could tell all the people meditating, trying to find spiritual practices, guys, what are you doing? It's a presence. It's a living presence. Imagine there was a person that came to your home, right? And they're like sitting there, and there's a cup of and let's say there's cups of tea and you're drinking tea, right? And then suddenly that person starts like bringing, like, I don't know, some imagine like we, like, how do I explain it? It's kind of like we don't need the intermediary if we haven't wondered about the direct access, and when we wonder, there is a direct access. So I'm choosing to align my soul. I chose in 2023, the moment I realized that God means life is more important than you, but it doesn't mean it's more important than an idea. It means that the point of life is to be conscious. Now, in Islam, I don't remember the exact terms, but there's three levels. First level, it's like you know there is God. Second level, you start seeing the divine. And third level, you are, I believe, in the presence of God. But that is beyond my understanding and beyond, not beyond my understanding, but I don't know. That's see, whenever it goes to the idea extends into the unobservable aspects of it, it's in divine territory. So God knows. But anyways, thank you for listening, and good night.